Hello, Women at Forbes, Facebook Live. I'm Anne Choquette. I'm the author of The Big Life. I am excited to be here with you today with Marcia Kilgore. Look, you guys know who Marcia is. Marcia founded Bliss. Then she created Soap and Glory, which we all have been using for years, and FitFlop, which is still your business. And now she has founded, she's revolutionizing the beauty business. Beauty Pie is her new subscription beauty business.
In fact, it's a membership.
Oh, membership. It's a membership.
Yeah, it's a membership.
It's a membership. And it's changing the way you buy makeup, right? That you get the insider price, right?
Yes.
This direct to factory price. Tell everybody. I won't get it right.
You know, Beauty Pie is a new way to buy luxury skincare and makeup, luxury makeup brushes. We just launched candles. So it's really a way for women anywhere in the United States and in the UK right now to buy the world's best beauty products direct from the factory. And one of the things that people don't know about the beauty industry, and you would know if you worked in the beauty industry, therefore I've been living it for the last 26 years, is that there are a handful really of elite suppliers who make all of the best makeup and a lot of the best skincare for pretty much all of the luxury brands that you see out there.
Amazing.
So you go to these fantastic factories and suppliers and they show you pretty much finished goods. You choose your packaging, you put your stamp on it, and then you mark it up 10 times before you sell it at retail. So Beauty Pie, I know it's a crazy thing. And it's, I think, maybe not as relevant anymore for women to pay that much to belong to a brand.
Right.
And one of the things when I was trying to figure out what to do next in my beauty career with Beauty Pie was just realizing how important women's own brands are to them now, rather than other brands that they buy from.
Right.
And that was one of the touch points, I think, and one of the indicators for me that Beauty Pie could be a big success.
Ignore the clanking that's happening in the background. We are in a big, beautiful industrial space in New York City, and sometimes the steam pipes go on, and that's how it happens. What I love about the Beauty Pie mantra, this idea of that millennial women particularly, which are my heart, and frankly I think we should all be more millennial, they do have a different attitude about what it means to have a brand, and that you want a brand that has meaning and it has to feel personal, and that they want to break the system, right?
Yes.
Young women want to break the system. They want something that is their own, and frankly, because I think we should all be more millennial, we all want something new, something fresh, a new dynamic. So
Yes.
I said to Marcia earlier that I feel like this third business of yours or fourth business of yours is really a gift to your audience that has grown with you over the years and says, like, we played by the game for so long, we played by the rules, we played by everybody else's rules, and this is our chance to do it our way, on our own terms, to put real value and meaning into beauty.
You know, I agree with you 100%, and I think it's
I'm such a fan.
But it's so fantastic that you picked it out and you're describing it so eloquently, because really that's the intention. I have been in the beauty industry for such a long time, and so many people have supported me through my journeys, through the different businesses that I've built and the different brands, and it's really been pretty heartwarming, and it's like creating kind of a big family out there who really trusts your expertise. So I did, start my career giving facials. So I have stared at pores from the oiliest skin you've ever seen to the driest, from terrible acne to perfect porcelain actress skin. So I've seen it all, and I've seen which kind of ingredients work on different skin types, and I've gone to all the different labs and found the best suppliers. And for me, knowing that for women now, the most important thing for them is their own brand, it felt kind of right to just be able to go and do my thing, which is really finding this fantastic stuff, bring it to the women, and let everybody have an equal playing field. I'm really democratic. Even with Bliss, I love the democracy of it, and knowing that secretaries were coming in for their facials as well as superstars, and that there was this sort of level playing field where everybody could afford to come in for a facial. I want to recreate that and make the world's best beauty products available and affordable for everyone.
That's amazing. Because this is the Women at Forbes audience, everybody wants to know the entrepreneur journey and the nuts and bolts secrets of success. So I want to start actually even before Bliss, because so much of my audience is just at the beginning of their career, and they're just trying to figure it out, and they want to make their mark on the world. And frankly, it's very sexy these days to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. But how do you go from being a 23-year-old chick living in New York City in the 90s and suddenly launch a brand that becomes a cult in a way? Like, what was like the first spark that got you started on your journey?
Wow. Okay. Well, I was here, and I was working as a personal trainer to try and pay my way through university, and it was so exhausting trying to get up that early in the morning and work that late at night and then still study. I used to fall asleep in my economics class.
You're from Canada, is that right?
I am. Yeah. I moved from Canada when I was 17 or 18. I'm not very good with dates. Somewhere in there.
To come here to go to college.
To come here to go to Columbia.
Yeah.
My sister was going to pay my tuition, but she had some financial changes that year, and it was too late for me to apply for a student loan because I was from Canada. So the foreign student loan office was shut down for that year. So I decided I would stay and I would try and earn my own money and try and save up to go to university. And I ended up signing up for part-time classes at New York University and working as a personal trainer to pay my own tuition. But it was really
the side
tiring.
hustle. This was like this.
It was the side
You were like
hustle.
that had the ultimate side hustle.
Yes, and then at that point, I was still really young, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I
How
did
could
love. Yeah, I don't know how anybody can. I guess there are a few people who are really gifted. They wake up, or they, very young, have a passion that they know what they want to do. But I think for a lot of us, it requires getting out into the world and trying things.
I mean, your passion when you were 21 has to be, especially when you go to NYU. I went to NYU.
Paying your rent.
You have to pay your rent and
Yeah.
your tuition, right? You got to pay your bills. That's your
That was kind of it.
hustle. Yes.
Yeah, and if once a week you could go out and get a salad with a friend, then you're feeling really lucky.
Yeah.
And so that was it. But it was a great time, discovering yourself, and it was a great time in New York. And it's always fun to be young and learning because it's just a sort of a constant. You're a sponge,
Right.
And there's that constant information coming in. So it really just got too tiring. I used to take people jogging. I would run them up the stairs of their building. This was a very long time ago. There weren't workout studios everywhere. Actually, I was probably one of the first personal trainers in New York City.
Yeah.
Because personal trainers in 88, 89, they
Right.
didn't really exist. So I had my clientele, and I used to go up to 96th Street and then back down to Soho and in Wall Street, and I would exercise with people, but it was exhausting, and my skin got really bad. My skin had always been quite oily anyway. So I decided one summer to go and take a facial course at Christine Bellamy, which was the place. I don't even know if it exists anymore. Yeah, but it was one of sort of the original.
Somebody will Google it and let us know.
Yes, let us know if it's around. And I took a crash course there and learned how to give facials. Now, I can't remember if this was in the right order, but I had, in fact, saved up to have a facial as a treat during one of my really exhausting and stressful times at NYU when I was studying economics. And it was my treat after an economics final.
What were you going to do with your degree?
Yeah, no idea.
Okay.
No idea.
I tell people that all the time. Just get a degree, be smart, be interested. It doesn't matter where you're going.
You know what? I think you're so right about that. I think you got to read. You have to read everything you can. You have to understand as much as you can. Try to understand. Get as much information in. Try things, experience things, and then I think it falls into place. You put together your own picture from all of the different things that you've done or tried, liked, not liked. But I certainly did not have any kind of a plan. But when I started to give facials, instead of running around the city, going jogging with my clients, and I did that because at the time I thought, you know what, if I can just be in one place and do this service for people, it won't be so tiring. I won't be all over the place. And then when I go to school, I won't fall asleep in my class. Do you know what a myoclonic jerk is? No. When you're falling asleep, sometimes you go like this and then you go like that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, that used to happen to me in class all the time. So I was just so exhausted, and I thought, I can't do this. All the money I'm making, I'm saving up to pay tuition, and then I'm falling asleep in class. So, better to try to do something that wasn't quite as energy draining. And I started to do facials. First on my personal training clients, who were very kind and trusting to, let me do that. And then they sent friends, and they sent friends, and I just loved it. I loved having people come in. I loved helping them. I loved making them feel better about themselves. I loved fixing their face or helping them relax, and it became a little bit like therapy, which I was not qualified to give. But it was so amazing to have women and men come in, trust me with their face, and it was very social. So I just enjoyed it so much, and it gave me such a boost of energy. I knew it was something I wanted to do more of.
To go from something that you feel excited about to making it a business, right?
Yes.
Does it feel like jumping off a cliff? Did it feel very like you knew where your safety net was and you were very careful and practiced? Like, what is that? How do you feel about that?
It was jumping off a cliff, but I had small cliffs. So first I had a one-room studio on Prince and Spring and Lafayette Street.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
And so it was just one room, and it was called Let's Face It. And people literally had to sit outside in the hallway if I was still busy and wait for their appointment, because there was nowhere to sit otherwise.
I remember that. I remember Let's Face It.
Yeah. And then
Did you have a purple banner? I think you had a purple banner.
The first Let's Face It was literally, it was one of those glass sort of detective style doors.
Okay, I remember.
I think it was
here.
room 601
Yeah,
in the East River Savings Bank building, which has since turned into a condo.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
where a lot of
I
swells
yes,
live.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then there was another Let's Face It. So that was my small step, right? From one room to 3 rooms. And on the second Let's Face It, which was 568 Broadway, we didn't have a bathroom. We had 3 treatment rooms, a laundry room, but clients had to go outside into the loft building's hallway in their robes to go to the bathroom.
Oh.
It was, still bigger, but it wasn't our own plumbing,
Yeah.
except for the laundry and that kind of thing. So that was a
The
small
glamorous
step,
early
still,
days.
Still
All of
big,
you want to
still
be
big.
entrepreneurs. You need to pay attention.
Listen, very funny story. We had a sofa, of course, and there were clients coming in and out, and people would wait on the sofa for their turn to have a treatment. And Demi Moore was in once, and she had, a face mask on, so she was really not, you couldn't tell it was her, right? And she came out of the facial room because she had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the facial. And of course, she has that incredible voice that you can really, recognize. And she came out and said, "Where's the bathroom?" And I had to give her the Minnie Mouse key, and she had to go into the hallway, of course, in her robe, and find the bathroom and then come back in. And she went out, and there was a girl sitting on the sofa who said, "God, she sounds just like Demi Moore."
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
It was really funny. Of course, we didn't give away her identity.
No.
She came in and out, nobody knew. But they were good times, It seems like a struggle. Oh my God, you can't even afford to put a bathroom into your own facial place. But in fact, it was just a blast. Then we got so busy because I suppose we were doing a great job. And I think that's really what it comes down to, right? You do the best job possible. You give everything you can to your clientele so that they want to come back and they feel it. I really believe that if you give it, they feel it, and then it grows. It's like watering a plant, isn't it?
Well, I told you that your voice for the Bliss catalog was so sharp and funny and warm and happy that when I was on the launch team of Cosmo Girl back in 1999, that was what we were looking at as our beauty copy, right? How could we be that funny, that clever, and real in a way, right? Because everybody was doing this very serious beauty copy, and you were just making it fun. I want to shift gears because you've grown from Bliss, right? Those were the early days. It probably feels like ancient history, although you still remember. Maybe you still remember those early days, but your life has grown too,
Yes.
right? So you have children.
Yeah.
You got married at some point along the way. Like the journey of building a business and building a family is one of the things that young women tell me all the time feels tremendously overwhelming.
Yes.
That how do you make room in your life for both? Did you have a crisis around that? Did you feel like you couldn't have both? You couldn't have?
You know what? It's very interesting because this question about having it all comes up a lot, especially for women. And what I find interesting is that no one ever asks if men can have it all. Right? Men go about having families and having their jobs, and no one ever challenges that question for men. Can a man have it all? Can he have this incredible relationship with his children and a career and be fit and be healthy? And I don't know why it's a standard that's held out only for women. right?
I don't even think anybody wants it all anymore, because it all sounds so pressured, and it doesn't feel authentic and real. I feel like everybody wants it on their own terms.
Yes.
You can't always have it on your own terms.
No, but you want to, you know what? There's a great passage in this book called The Road Less Traveled, which talks about how if you choose one thing, you just have to realize that you're not getting the other. And it is that simple. It is that if I'm going to choose to do this, it means I probably don't have time to do this. And you just have to make your choices very wisely along the way so that you don't have regrets. I listened to Jeff Bezos. He did a podcast the other day, and he was talking about how one of his rules is actually the path of fewest regrets rule. And if you can remind yourself along the way that actually you might be taking a chance on something, but you'll really regret it if you don't. You might be spending time away from your kids, but you'd regret missing that opportunity if you didn't. And you have to be okay with your choices. And just coming to that point where you're okay with your choices and you know that it's all right not to be whatever the perfect mom is, but that you give your kids the very best you can when you're with them. And you know that you have to stimulate your brain. Right? Working moms who have been working before and then go into full-time momdom, sometimes that's really tough because you're not stimulating your brain as much, and that can cause just as many problems as, you know, not necessarily being there all the time.
But you know, the tension, so I think work-life balance is a sham. It's a sham. I do not believe in it. I think balance just amplifies the anxiety. But it's interesting. I did a conversation with Sally Krawcheck, who says that she says, I'm a mediocre mom at best. And I want to say to her, and I did say to her, but I think that this idea that we hold ourselves up to such a crazy standard, right? That the key to being a mom is to love your children.
Yes.
And you don't stop being a mom when you're in your office. You're still a mom. You just are having your attention is being pulled in a different direction. And I felt like we need to redefine what it means
to be a good
mother, to be someone who is engaged and is working and is ambitious and is hungry and is growing. I mean, you just said to me that you do your own social media and that you're writing all your own copy. And just before she stopped and turned off the radiators here. She's like, this is a do-it-yourself woman. So you are not like swashing around.
No, you gotta get it done. You know, someone said to me also once, and this really helped me a lot. They said, you know, children learn by example. So what kind of children do you want to have? You probably want to have children who go out, work, try to achieve their dreams, you know, follow that path that makes them inspired, and you want to show them how you're doing it because they will do what they see, and you don't necessarily, I mean, and it's fantastic also to be a stay-at-home mom if that's what you love doing and that's what inspires you. And to be a full-time parent is the hardest job ever. But if you think, I love my career and I want my children to love a career also, which normally people want their kids to be like them. We're wired that way, right? We want them to kind of dress the way we dress. Somehow you will style your children.
My daughter and I are twinsies often.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens because you think that's right, so you give it to them. So in fact, setting that example for them and showing them that this is, I go out and I work hard, and this is what makes me happy, and you hope that that's what will make them happy as well, and there's absolutely nothing wrong in doing that.
So instead of work-life balance, I think we should embrace the mess, right? It is a big life is a messy life. Do you have techniques that you employ in your life that help you navigate the mess of your life?
Lists.
Okay.
Lists, right?
Lists.
You've got to have a great list-making app. And if you do, every time you think of something, right?
What do you use?
I just use reminders. I think it's part of Outlook.
Okay.
And I put family reminders, and then I put today's reminders, and I put business reminders.
Are they color-coded?
They are color-coded.
Okay.
And I also, of course, I work with several different people that I discuss strategy with on different levels, whether it's marketing or operations or finance or whatever. And so I'll make a list for each one of those people, and as soon as I think of something, I open that up, I put it down, and then I've got it. I also make sure that every day I spend X number of minutes on my family list.
Okay.
Because sometimes with work, especially if you're an entrepreneur, there's always some emergency coming up that is a business emergency and that's costing you money, right? Everything that's not moving the dial or moving you forward is costing you money. So you try and always get that done. But then you think, if I put as much effort into or even a tenth of the effort during the day into organizing what my weekend is going to be like with my kids, right? Or into organizing play dates for my kids so that they've got a great social life and they understand that this requires effort, then you're going to get that kind of reward back out of it. But it does require doing the same kinds of things that you put your efforts into when you're an entrepreneur at business.
All right, lists. I'm going to start making color-coded lists.
Lists, and then prioritizing, and just maybe it's how everyone is now saying you can have 2 or 3 important things on your list each day, no more than that, because if you have more than that, you never get them done, and you do the distracting things, and then the big frogs that you're supposed to eat, you never get to. I hear so many people saying that now, and I think it's true, right? But sometimes the frog is actually taking care of the family things that you need to take care of. So maybe you have 3 things that are entrepreneurial things, but then you have 2 family things that you need to do also, and you need to make sure that both of those lists get taken care of.
And this, one of the things that I think is so important is that this idea that your work matters and your life matters is not for only when you have children, right? Whether you're at the beginning of your career, or you've decided not to have children, or it's not on your horizon, your life matters. And so sometimes that list is whatever it is that's personal to you.
Yeah,
right?
Working out, right? Going to a spa, getting a massage, getting your acupuncture done,
paying your bills, doing the dry cleaning,
reading,
whatever the things
taking a
are.
class, learning to speak French, whatever it is.
No,
you gotta make time for it.
But it's on the list. Learning to speak French.
And you've got a list.
I'm not. My
Have
list.
you tried Duolingo?
No.
Duolingo is amazing if you need to learn a language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a little owl. It's an app. I think it's free. Costa Rica uses it to teach all of their kids English. And you go and you play games on it. You have to earn a certain number of points every day. It reminds you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm going to learn French.
I'm learning French on Duolingo.
Okay, we'll do it together. I want to talk about something that matters very much to me. I grew up in women's magazines, and so I care very much and know how important the journalism is that we did and the impact that we had in the world, and I cared very much about the beauty business and the fashion business, and but what drives me crazy is that when people say, oh, that's nice, you and your women's thing, oh, you and your beauty business, that's nice, and I see it very often that people, even the young beauty influencers, get dismissed and marginalized as not being serious business women because it's beauty. And so you, as a pioneer in beauty, as a heavyweight in business, what do you do when you're faced with that, oh, that's nice, oh, you and your beauty business, that's so nice.
It's interesting. We talked about it a little bit before when I first came in. I don't think I've ever had anybody dismiss my efforts like that. I think if you let people dismiss your efforts, you let them.
Okay.
And so it's about holding your ground and standing up for yourself in any situation where someone says, oh, that's nice, your little effort. It's shocking to me that somebody would actually approach it that way, but I do believe that we allow it. Not that that we deserve it, but if you let anyone speak to you ever about anything that you're trying to do and minimize it, it is your responsibility to stand up for yourself and just let that person know how important your business is to them, if that's what it is, or whatever your efforts are going towards. Most people will minimize you if they feel insecure about themselves, right? So anyone who's secure with themselves, happy with what's going on, will not minimize another person.
Yeah.
Right? They don't feel threatened that way, and they don't need to bring somebody else down. So,
well, I think that you are such an example to young women to see their passions as real business.
Yes.
Right? That you figured out how to turn the thing that you were interested in. You didn't know what you were going to do with your economics degree.
Sure.
You figured out how to take what you were interested in, fitness and beauty, and turn it into business.
Yes.
And not just a side hustle, and not just a passion project. And I think that is so inspiring to the next generation of entrepreneurs to think of the things that matter to you, that they are serious business, that it's not a hobby. It's not a hobby.
No, certainly not a hobby. I had to pay my rent. And interestingly, I actually only took one economics class, and then I dropped out of university.
Oh.
Yes. So I didn't even make it past the second year on my part-time schedule because it got so busy and we were doing so many facials. And I had this business to run and people were calling to buy product from us by mail order and I just didn't have time. I always say, well, maybe not anymore, but I have said a few times to my husband, you know, I think I'm going to go back and finish my degree, and he just laughs at me. I think, well, okay, maybe not, but
Maybe we could go right down here, NYU, right down the block.
Yeah,
Just call them up and see if you can audit a couple classes.
maybe I'll audit a couple of classes. But I do find sometimes, and you know what, it's fantastic to have to have that degree and have that discipline and have the structure and to understand how to think about things. But a lot of times the degree of life where you just realize what's missing, what isn't available to people, and you can really feel that. It's a little bit more of a gut instinct thing than going in and, you know, the N versus the S. Have you done that?
No.
So there's a system called Myers-Briggs typography.
Okay.
Yeah, and you take this test, you can take it online. Normally you would do it with somebody who's a facilitator, who's been trained in it, and you answer a bunch of questions and it tells you whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you gut instinct or if you have to see numbers, whether you're thinking or feeling, so if you're a little more emotionally connected or if you're more practical, I suppose, and whether you're a perceiver or a judger. Judgers tend to move faster, perceivers tend to wait until the information is gathered and they have enough information before they move. And people are a combination of any of these different events, so there are 16 different types. And I think that as soon as you've gone through a business degree and you've already understood that kind of structure and how to put it in place, I think you will approach your potential ideas about entrepreneurialism,
Yeah.
entrepreneurism differently, more from the perspective of sensing and numbers and charts, and I never do. I always think, wouldn't it be great if I had X, Y, or Z? And Beauty Pie is the perfect example of that because after I sold my last beauty business, what happens when you're in the beauty industry? You get free, amazing product shipments from labs and factories all over the world all the time because they're trying to sell you stuff. So they will send you boxes. It's like Christmas every day. You get boxes of this new face cream with this peptide, or this new face cream with the alpha-hydroxy acids, or this incredible eyeshadow formula, and they just come in to your office all the time because labs and suppliers are trying to get you to order them and put your brand stamp on them. Now, after I sold Soap and Glory, I didn't get the boxes anymore, and I didn't get to go to the show. So a lot of these labs will also have these shows where you go, it's twice a year, and you go to their lab and they show you all this stuff, and it's like being a kid in a candy store. It is, I mean, these places are like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
I mean, girl heaven.
Right? Are you getting the chills?
I love it all.
It was
I love it all.
so amazing. It's the best part
Back
of it.
in my magazine days, you could find me in the beauty closet anytime.
Every day, right? Yeah, you know exactly what it's like. Because if you're a beauty editor, you get these bags of stuff because everyone is trying to get press.
Yeah.
So I had, done my original businesses, and it was a real letdown when these boxes stopped arriving because I wasn't a brand anymore. No one was trying to sell me anything. And I thought, wait, what if I could bring that feeling of going into the cosmetics factory to all of the women
In the candy store.
right?
Yeah, amazing.
And that's where you get the idea and you think, oh, that is so good. Like, who wouldn't want to be part of that?
Yeah.
All the hair on your body stands
Yes,
up?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I had the same when I thought of FitFlop, actually, because I thought, who wouldn't want like an ergonomic shoe? I mean, you get them, but I don't think it's from sitting down and doing a spreadsheet. It's from thinking, what is missing in my life?
Yeah.
And then, are other women going to want this too? Of course, I'm quite woman-oriented, so I always
We're
make-
women of Forbes today. It's
yeah,
good.
yeah, I like to make stuff for myself and the other women who are like me.
Yeah.
And generally works out.
I mean, I say all the time that what you want, everybody's goal in life is to make a hole in the world that fits them, right?
Yes.
And you have just been working hard to make your hole fit everybody. That's great.
You know, there's a great quote from George Bernard Shaw who says something like, the reasonable man goes about life trying to fit into the world. The unreasonable man or woman, right, goes about life trying to make the world fit her. right? Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable woman.
Yeah, agree.
I am
100%.
an unreasonable woman.
Me too.
Excellent.
100%. Do we have questions from our Facebook fans?
Yes,
Hi,
we do.
Facebook. We're here for you. We want to answer your questions.
So when you were talking about finding your path of least regret,
Yes.
I think that's such a powerful statement, but how do you actually figure out what those priorities are in your life that you can't live without doing them?
I think it's trial and error, right? We all learn, we all have painful times where we think we made a mistake. Listening to those mistakes and then trying to learn from them and not repeat them is really how you get there. I've made mistakes over and over and over again, and I still do. I still do stupid things. I still do things that aren't getting me anywhere. I still make the wrong choices. I think, you know, the older and more experienced I get, less and less, but trying to really be in the moment, absorb why something happened. There's a lot of information now about the best way to learn things, and we talked about Duolingo. And on Duolingo, when you make a mistake or you don't get something right, they actually repeat the same thing until you get it right. And I think that's part of learning, is listening, knowing and acknowledging that you've made a mistake or you've done something that didn't make you feel fulfilled or happy, owning it, and then trying not to do it again.
I never regret not getting something. I only regret it if I didn't go for it. And it's that, and I kill myself about those things if I'm afraid of it, or I felt I wasn't up to it, or whatever those feelings are that are holding me back.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to get rid of in my life, or any of those things that my doubts. I would much rather have gone for something big and not succeeded.
Yes.
Than to have felt like I didn't go for it and then feel shy or intimidated. It's just the worst. Those are the worst drowning feelings. Yeah, the worst drowning feelings.
You know what? Seth Godin has a great line in one of his books, and he says, "Don't sit around waiting for someone to choose you. Choose yourself."
Oh, I like that too.
I love it. Why not you?
That's what, frankly, that's what this entire generation of young women is doing, is
Yeah.
choosing themselves rather than investing in an old way of doing things.
Yeah.
Because millennial women feel so passionate and so strong and so confident that they can make the world fit them.
Yes.
And that's why I follow them. And that's why we do that.
So Kat has a question about your success, and if it comes from a formula that is based on your time management skills. So I guess how big of a part of your success comes from being able to manage your time well, and do you have any real tips for all of us?
Okay, time management.
You've got your lists.
I do have my lists, and I do try and get the hard stuff done and not avoid it.
Do you get up at the crack of dawn?
I don't.
Okay,
no.
good.
No, I'm
Do you
not
stay up
one of
late?
those. I do.
All right, that's good to know about yourself.
Oh, you know, I think I'm typically, or maybe atypically, quite an energetic person. And I think that comes from really loving and being excited by what I get to do all day. So I think that helps, because if you want to get up and you want to get going and do things because it inspires you, you know, having another 4 hours of work is not a big drain because you're actually loving it. I do make my lists, but I think I work incredibly hard.
Does your work life go work at the office, come home, spend family time, get back on the computer?
It does,
Yeah.
but that may not work for everybody.
And then where do you fit in going to the gym or having dinner with friends? Like, how do you interject those bits?
You know, you got to be flexible. You do whatever you can. I would say I'm probably not the best at my social life, so I will make sure that I see friends, and usually in groups, you know, 3 or 4 times a month. But I don't necessarily prioritize it. Like we were saying before, something has to give, right? There are only so many hours in the day, so you're either going to have not as much sleep, not as much social time, not as much work time, not as much time with your friends and family, and you have to choose which one that is. I mean, I do not watch television, right? There is no television going on for me. I don't remember the last time.
You're not even like binge watching Netflix when you're on the plane?
No, on the plane, normally I'll just work until I fall asleep.
I love working on the plane.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
my secret to success. If I can sit on the plane and my phone doesn't
Yep.
ring, I'm not
The email doesn't
distracted,
come
I
in.
can't even really get up and go to the bathroom, like, I'm just working.
Yes.
I get a lot
it's
done
a
on the
great
plane.
time.
I get a lot
That's why
done.
they say the 4 a.m. shift, like if you can, be one of those people who wakes up at 4. Your brain is supposed to be the most full of sugar at the beginning of the day. Right, I read this somewhere. I do read a lot, and I
Yeah.
listen to a lot of audiobooks, And a lot of those little snippets, and you know, there's a lot of interesting information, which if you can then apply it, which I think people don't work enough on trying to apply their knowledge to their everyday life. And that's something I will call out as, I know I'm good at that. I read something, and then I can actually put it into action, and I will think of it in a very practical way, and then apply it. And so if you are reading self-help books, or business books, or techniques about time management, read one, and then don't read another one, or listen to it, don't listen to another one, and try to apply what you've learned before you go into a next one, because that's how you create those good habits.
Well, we're putting The Big Life on your next reading list.
Yes.
You're gonna,
I am
and you'll
ready.
report back.
Okay.
You'll report back about what's.
I'm ready, and I'm
what's-
excited.
Yeah.
Is there an audio version?
Yes, and I read it.
Fantastic. I will be downloading that tonight.
I'll be reading my book to you on the plane. Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I thought it was actionable and real and warm, and this was awesome.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank
Such
you.
a pleasure.